And the U.S. Supreme Court kicked off its term today. And for geeks like me, that's really exciting. The first time in more than a year and a half that the justices have been in person. Now, prepare yourselves. This majority conservative court that really seems hell-bent on overturning nearly half a century of decisions, including those on voting rights and gun laws and abortions and other big social issues, is gathering to do God only knows what kind of damage. Here to break down this radical right-wing takeover of the Supreme Court is staff writer for The Atlantic, Adam Serwer, and award-winning journalist and novelist Justice Holland. Thank you so much for being here on Amplified. Adam, I got to start with you because you wrote a great piece in The Atlantic holding SCOTUS's feet to the fire for basically turning the cheek on Roe versus Wade in the Texas abortion law nonsense. Well, without directly pointing his finger, Justice Alito responded last week to your article. And here's a little bit of what he had to say. Listen to this.
This order is not based on any conclusion about the constitutionality of Texas's law. So the statement is flatly wrong, and the suggestion that we should have held oral argument is ridiculous.
So I would just love for you to give us your reactions to, you wrote a column. Give us your reactions, Adam.
I mean, look, first of all, it's disgraceful for a justice to say that he does not want to be seen as political and then go and give a Trump-like rant against the press. But more to the point, he's not even addressing the substantive claim here, which is that the Supreme Court's decision by allowing the ban to stay in place essentially nullified Roe v. Wade in Texas. I didn't say overturned Roe v. Wade, I said nullified. And that's the basic reality of what's happening here in Texas. Women are fleeing the state because they can't get abortions here in Texas anymore because the ban has no exceptions and it bans abortion after 6 weeks, which is before most women know they're even pregnant. So it's sort of, he wants to argue about how many angels can dance on the head of the pin while I'm talking about what's actually happening. And it's not as though he doesn't understand that. It's just that he wants to take offense because he wants to defend the court's legitimacy against the criticism that they are allowing their politics to determine their decisions, which they very clearly are. I mean, that's why people like Alito are there. The conservative legal movement spent decades of advocacy and money and persuasion to get justices like Alito on the bench so that they would rule the way that Alito rules and talk about it as though it was simply an impartial application of the law. And when people criticize him for that, you're a justice. You should be able to deal with public scrutiny of your decisions. But instead, he comes back with this haughty, imperious attitude because he doesn't believe that the court's decisions should be questioned by the public.
Yeah, Jesse, I want you to jump in here because it is interesting that he tried to clap back, essentially, and getting mad when, in fact, there's truth-telling happening. In theory, these justices are supposed to be nonpartisan, right? And they always say, oh, we're just here to, do our bidding with regard to the law, and it's nonpartisan. But the truth is that that's not actually, it doesn't seem to me, exactly what's happening. So speak a little bit to that, right? Are they actually up there practicing what they preach, or, how politicized has this court gotten?
Well, Aisha, when you look at the Supreme Court and you look at their decisions and you can tell what they're going to vote by, which president put them on the court, I mean, I think it's a distinction without a difference, whether it's through their judicial thought policy or it's through their politics. When you have a conservative justice who has a conservative judicial philosophy that equals decisions that favor conservatives, doesn't matter whether it's political or whether it's a judicial philosophy, you're going to get the same result. So I completely agree that they're trying now to make sure that they have a defense for the criticism, not only for what they've done, but what they plan to do. What we're seeing now is a charm offensive to be able to say when they go back to the Mississippi abortion case, when they go to the New York gun case, when they go to the Harvard affirmative action case, they can say, oh, no, this isn't political. These are our judicial philosophies. But it won't matter because it will equal the same decision if they nakedly say we are Republican conservatives and this is how we want this to turn out. It equals the same thing.
I want to come back to some of those things that you just mentioned that are actually going to be on the docket. But first, Adam, talk to us about what this shadow docket is and the things that we don't actually hear about and know that are upcoming. What is this, and how is it being used?
So look, the important thing is one of Alito's dismissals of the criticism that he said, well, we've always done emergency orders. There's sometimes when the court has to act expeditiously because there's some risk of imminent harm, like in an execution case, for example, and so they have to do emergency orders that don't go through the regular legal process. I noted in my piece that there's nothing inherently sinister about that. Also, the term shadow docket was coined by a conservative attorney. It was not something that liberals or Democrats came up with. Third, the issue is not so much that the shadow docket exists or that the court has to act, on emergency orders sometimes, but that the court is suddenly using the shadow docket to make much more sweeping decisions than it used to, and that those decisions almost always go the way that Republicans want them to go. And those last two things are a question of empirical fact. You can look at the surveys, at studies done in terms of how these decisions went, in terms of who the plaintiffs were in the parties were in these cases, and who prevailed. And it's really not a question that the court has made more significant decisions through the shadow docket, and that those decisions have typically gone conservatives' way. In fact, it's the other part of this criticism that's disingenuous is that it's not just the media raising these issues. These issues were raised by Alito's colleagues on the court. So in a way, when he's criticizing the press, he's sort of in a roundabout way lobbing shots at his own colleagues, while he's pretending to simply be criticizing the press. But the point is, yes, sometimes the court has to act on emergency orders, but they're doing it in a way right now that they haven't been doing it in the past.
So I want to talk about, let's get into really how is the right wing using this shadow docket situation that you're saying isn't designed to be nefarious on its face, but it seems many people would argue, as you are doing, that the right-wing conservatives are actually using this particular opportunity to do nefarious things. So tell us, Jesse, a couple of examples of how is this playing out where it has really turned into the politicization of the court because there's this legal sleight of hand that's being used by conservatives to essentially get what they want.
Well, it's all about the number of votes. The conservatives have a 6-3 advantage on the Supreme Court, even though they will tell you, well, we're not conservative, we're not liberal, we're just justices. The fact is they have a 6-3 advantage on the court. And I've been in the court many a night when we were waiting for a decision on a death penalty case. And so the shadow docket exists for other reasons. But with the appropriate number of justices on the court, you can make decisions that affect Americans without ever having to show your face or write an argument. All you need is the votes. And we've seen them do this with President Biden's policies in a way that they did not do with President Trump's policies. So they're using their numerical majority on the court to keep certain cases from popping up on the court's calendar and having to argue them. So while this process has existed forever, no one has really used it to the advantage the way the conservative justices are right now. And as long as they have that majority, you can expect more decisions to come through that shadow docket this way.
So let's talk about what they're going to hear right now. I find that though many of us in the black community don't pay quite enough attention to SCOTUS. We're, looking at what the legislatures are and aren't doing around voting rights and other things, but the Supreme Court does a whole lot, kind of in the cover of darkness because we don't always see it on the front page. So, Adam, what's going on? What are we going to expect to happen this session that are some of the real consequential issues that are being debated?
Well, there are a number of big issues regarding gun rights, abortion rights. Obviously, there's a Mississippi abortion ban case, and religious rights. There's a case involving taxpayer funding of religious schools that, Supreme Court observers, people who cover the court regularly, would tell you these are sort of hot button issues that the court has typically avoided. But now that they have 6 conservative justices on the court, if they lose an idiosyncratic justice because of their conscience, or because they have a legal philosophical conflict with whatever the majority wants to do, they can still have a majority of 5 justices. And that means the court is going to be much more conservative this year than it has been in the past. We don't know necessarily how they're going to rule or how sweeping those rulings will be, but most people expect that it's going to be a very good year for Republicans and conservatives on the court. And this is a victory that they've worked for generations now, so we can expect them to take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just about to say, you say a good year for them, but I see it as we've lost the Supreme Court perhaps for a generation on down the road.
For a long time.
And I wonder then, Jesse, for a really long time, right? So is this an opportunity, Jesse, for the Senate to consider, for Democrats specifically, to consider expanding the court, maybe modifying the structure of the court? Because I'm not sure the justice is actually being served. So what do you say about these conversations on whether to, how to maybe stack the Supreme Court differently or add some more seats to it?
Well, one of the things that we can say for a fact is that we're going to hear more and more about changing the composition of the Supreme Court, because after these cases come down, after you get the Mississippi abortion case, that's probably going to go the conservatives' way. After you get the Harvard affirmative action case, that's going to go the conservatives' way. And after you get the New York gun case, that's going to go the conservatives' way. The legislature, the Democratic majority of the Congress, is going to be a lot more interested in changing the composition of the court, making it bigger, adding more seats. Because if it continues the way it is now, the conservative court is going to do things that the legislature and the executive have not been able to do for a while. Now, keep in mind that this court is going to be here for a while. Barring anything extraordinary, this is the composition you're going to see for quite a while. In fact, the next person to retire is probably a liberal justice, probably Justice Stephen Breyer. So you could end up losing another longtime stalwart of the court. So unless there's any action by the legislature, this is the court you're going to see for quite a while. And it's going to be going the conservatives' way.
Well, the moral of this story is that it doesn't sound like much of this is good for black folk, unfortunately. Adam Serwer and Jesse Holland, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And Jesse, we'll be back later in the show, so stay tuned.